He called them suckers and losers. Who in the hell does he think he is? Who does he think he is?
Who does he think he is, Sean Gregorian? Who does that guy think he is?
Well,
who does Sean think he is?
maybe let me.
Oh, man. It's best to say he was muted. We have Lena Star Moon, who might know what the deal is. She said, that's a deep thought, Sean. It's so deep, we can't even measure it. That's how deep it is. Oh, Maddie Lynn, who says, baby Sean. Yes, Sean is a baby. He needs to be pampered. And how's that diaper rash?
Tonight, late night update. Epstein's dark files. The rude, the crude, the cringe, the fringe, everything that was a conspiracy theory before is now becoming reality more and more each day since the files have been released. We're going to get to the bottom of it. Brace yourself. Hold your stomachs. Hold your hearts. Yo Bishop's on the show tonight. Late night update. I think we're going. God, I hope so. I hope so. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody. This is Dean Ryan for another late night update that I am struggling to get through here tonight. But the significance of this entire week is so incredible that I had to be here because wild horses still have yet to drag me away. I would not miss this because we are learning revelations that were scoffed at for years prior have now become reality, and people are having a tough time dealing with it internally. People are shutting down. People are in denial. People are offering some of the worst excuses I've ever heard. We're going to go through it all tonight, but some of the material we're going to be going through, viewer discretion advised, is quite dark, to say the least. And however, here at the Trauma Ward at Real Deal Media, in this late night update franchise, by the way, one of our oldest franchise shows since we began in 2020, even older than World at War, believe it or not. But we're going to be ciphering through a lot of these here tonight. And Neil Bishop, our subculture observer, is going to be joining us here tonight as well. And then we have a formidable, incredible report regarding the crypto and everything that we have learned about Bitcoin by Mike Adams. He'll be sharing that with us here tonight. But, there's a lot going on in the news, and it's to hear Elon Musk now getting into the fray and try to get ahead of the story is that's quite fascinating. And we're quite perplexed what he's thinking he's cleared of. Just to give you a little insight. But I don't want to waste any more time, and I'm going to need a little double vocal attack here tonight. I want to introduce to the stage a man who is very much in the know with some of these files that are being released. He's very familiar with the matter. It's our very own Neil Bishop. Neil, welcome to Late Night Update. Right off the bat, Neil, let me just get your thoughts on everything that has been relinquished this week alone, and then we'll just get into the minutia of it all.
Yeah, I think first and foremost, I did not see Dean Ryan's name, at least not yet. I've run it in the 3 million files that we've got. Dean Ryan did not show up, and
thank you.
I think he's in there somewhere. We've got a whole team that's working on it. We're going to find your name in there somewhere. I did not show up in the files. You know what? And that's notable. On a serious note, who are we not talking about? People like Marjorie Taylor Greene did not show up in the Epstein files. Candace Owens did not show up. Ron Paul and Rand Paul didn't show up. Thomas Massey didn't show up. Interesting, isn't it? Like, these have been the most vocal voices of saying, release the frickin' files, and they're not there. And everyone else is saying, oh, it's a hoax and we got to move on and all these things. the people that have been trying to prevent the files from being released, well, lo and behold, they show up. It's a very strange psychological operation that's going on before our eyes. But I think a couple notable things about what we've seen so far. Who's actually ruling the world? I mean, I think the Epstein files are going to help wake up the normies to see that we've got a bunch of Satanist, pedophile, like literally devil worshiping, Babylonian. I don't even know what these things are, if they're even human, but they're running the world. And I think that's become clear. And also we know how they feel about us. In Bible times, the word for lesser humans was Gentiles. In our modern times, the word for lesser humans is called Goyim. And Goyim showed up in the Epstein files. And I wonder who was calling us Goyim. I wonder what sect or group of people is referring us to that way. I can't remember, but maybe I'll ask Dean. Maybe you can share about that group. But
it might be the Southwestern Baptists, if I had to guess.
Oh,
just right
yeah.
off the bat.
I was going to say Mormons, but yeah, that might be the Southwestern Baptists. That's a great point.
The Southwestern Baptists. Well, but speaking of Mormons, that is one of the silent, in most, I would say, most plentiful supporters of Zionism is Mormonism. And Neil and I actually have a future episode on the lounge that everybody's going to see on that very soon once I get my life together, as you can see. But I want to play some things here. We're talking about who we don't see, and there's all kinds of people coming out. But did you know that if you are supporting these files coming out and talking about it and have a 2 cents and everything, you are actually an anti-Semite? I didn't know if you knew that. Wow. And I learned something. Yes, I learned something new because the Dan Bon Bingo show is back on there, and I'm like, yes, thank you.
The
this
Bong
is what
show.
we need. And
the Bong show.
Yeah, and we showed everybody the comments of his return to just glory just the other day, and it was quite cringe, almost as cringe as the cannibalist factor. But here's actually what he's saying now in light of everything coming out. And you got to admit too, this doesn't make him look good at all these files, nor the Kash Patel character too. But check this out, and then we'll get your take on it after. Quite stunning.
Finally, there's a third class of people. The third class of people after October 7th went crazy. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how many times I have to tell you this. I stand fully, completely, and strongly against anti-Semitic bullshit. I don't know how many times I got to tell you this. It's amazing how many people think it's like the current thing to say like they hate the Jews or something. Really? You believe that? You realize where that's led throughout human history, absent the immorality of it? Now, you may say, oh, gosh, Dan, I can't believe that that's actually happening. Really? I promise you, go look at the Twitter. The botting that does happen, and again, it's not all botting. The botting that does happen is very well organized. It is totally synthetic. It is all anti-Jewish nonsense. Read the comments. It's from like, I hate the Jews 101 and stuff. Just look at it. You can see it. It's so clearly fake. But it's an organized movement of people, and it's not a very large group of people, who've learned to amplify social media to attack anyone in the administration or outside who doesn't go and attack the Jews. 100%. Look at you.
Okay, well, yeah, Neil, I think he's on to something.
Oh,
that might be the first lead. That might be the first real investigation he's actually completed in the past year. He might be on to something. Neil, I mean, I guess in our conversation that we just had, we must have said, attack the Jews, please.
Yeah, that was it.
Favor.
And I love the fake rage. Like, I can't believe these people that would say they hate Jews. Everybody's saying they hate Jews, and I'm courageous because I don't hate Jews. And he must be apparently. I'd like to ask him this, because here's a quote from one of his very close friends. It goes something like this: I just lost another huge Jewish donor. Jewish donors play into all the stereotypes. I cannot and will not be bullied like this, leaving me no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause. I'd like to just read that and be like, Mr. Dan, can you tell us who said that? I think we all know who said it. That was one Charlie Kirk. And he said, I'm leaving. This was 48 hours before his alleged assassination. He said, I'm leaving the pro-Israel cause. If I were to say that, or if you say that, or if anybody says anything like that, all of a sudden we hate the Jews. Like that's the only, it's just this, it's this cringe, stupid, mindless way of shutting down conversation. It's like saying, if I criticize a person of color, oh my goodness, Neil hates black people and this is disgusting and I'm courageous because I don't hate black people. And you do.
Well, Neil, it's just that easy to do. That's how it works. Anyone can do it, out there. It's you're learning here, but so there's a lot of people. So now the new cover up is to double down and call people the anti-Semitic phrase now. Now, this next clip here is what Neil sent me the other day. And by the way, I found the Dershowitz clip, everybody. Oh, my God.
Oh, boy.
I almost had an aneurysm on air last night, but I found it deep in the hidden my hidden files. But here's a clip that Neil sent me in light in post of the cover-up, or excuse me, the files. This is Alex Jones and Liz Crokin, who is the godmother of the Pizzagate revelations from years past, who's now come out of the woodworks, out of retirement, and is 90% happy, but there's 10% that maybe she's not so happy about, and that's the DJT mentions, which I'm going to get Neil's opinion on that after this clip here. But check this out. Alex and Liz Crokin, and you might want to cover your ears for the Alex parts.
I always knew that Trump was going to go after Epstein and that whole ring before he even won. And when...
Because it was Trump that first dropped the dime 18 years ago and put him in jail then.
Right. I know that...
But it's weird. Trump never takes credit for that. But I knew that when I first endorsed him 10 years ago from my sources and even the news. And then now it's all confirmed by Wolf talking to Epstein. So why doesn't Trump take credit?
Well, he has before. He has. But he just doesn't, he just tries to stay away from talking about it. But here's something that's interesting. I believe that he strategically appointed Alex Acosta to his administration the first term, knowing that he gave Epstein the sweetheart deal, because he also knew the entire mainstream media, which you know more than anyone, is compromised. So Trump knew that the only way, he knew he was going to take down Epstein, in my opinion, so the only way that he'd be able to get the mainstream media to cover Epstein was to appoint someone like Acosta, because if they can tie it to Trump, they cover it. And so
Well, your take on that, Neil, because, I think Liz Crokin figured it all out. Even Alex is figuring it all out, and Candace is bad according to that. But what's your take on that? And I'll pop in, share mine.
I have a lot of respect for Liz Crokin, and we're actually, we've had some contact, and I wouldn't mind, honestly, reconnecting. I don't understand what's happened the last couple of years, really, since she released the Out of Shadows docu, which that's a great one. If any of the listeners tonight haven't seen Out of Shadows, it's great. I can hardly tolerate the sound of Alex Jones' voice. It just sounds he sounds like a crony and all that stuff.
Like mine right now.
Oh, it's so bad. It's just like, seriously, dude, he's just spent. He's spent. He doesn't know which side of the aisle he's on, or maybe he does, but he's got one foot with the Israel donors, whoever's backing him there, and then he tries to pretend like he's still independent and all that. We all know he's not independent and everything. But they're trying to tiptoe around the Trump issue. My take on this right now, I'm going to sound like a broken record. There's two Trumps, and one of the Trumps is compromised. And so there's part of Trump that is a compromised person. And that's just the way it goes, you guys. He's been living a lavish billionaire lifestyle for his entire life. He was born into it. He's living it. He's done things that probably he should be ashamed of. Some of that stuff kind of in part came out in his first run. But I really do think that there are, even though there's kind of this two wings of the same bird, the left and right, and they're kind of heading toward the same direction. I do think there's
Right.
infighting between the left and the right. And I think that a lot of the left truly does hate Trump. And I do think that if there were legitimate things that were really, really horrific that could have come out by now, I think they probably would have. I'm not excusing or defending Trump because I think that like I said, I think he's compromised. He's probably been a three-letter agency asset at various times in his life. He's probably been into things that he shouldn't be into and things like that. But I think on the scale, if we're talking about the scale of evil, I don't think Trump is down the scale on an Epstein level. I also think we need to be careful too, Dean, but I'll turn back over to you. There are things that are fabricated. What's going to be really difficult over the next coming weeks is to decipher what is actually part of the Epstein files and what has been fabricated, because we can't trust the quick clips that are coming out. It's really actually somewhat difficult to decipher. So there's going to be a hit on Trump to try to take him down through this, and maybe he should come down. Honestly, I don't know. I'm not defending him, but I think we need to go into it knowing that there are those on the very satanic, disgusting, pedophile road that want nothing more than to frame Trump and take him down. So I think it's a complex issue, honestly, and I think we're still dealing with two Trumps.
That's a great theorem, but let me add this. This was brought to my attention, and I've been thinking about it. What if Trump has just been the pawn? Let's just say for the white hats in this case, and to me, I've always saw Donald Trump, as the cursor on a computer. Not so much, a cursor on a computer is not, your leader when you go on your laptop or whatever. It's just where you should be looking or maybe not looking, But in regards to what we just saw, Alex is a shell of his former self. He's lock and step with what Tim Pool's saying, Shades of Shapiro, which is probably Alex's nickname, Shades of Shapiro at this case. Liz Crokin, and two, Liz Crokin has built an entire brand on, the QAnon and Donald Trump, together. So it's almost like she's trying to make sense of this Rubik's Cube, and putting a cube into a sphere, it doesn't work, So I get that sense, and a lot of people are too. And and hey, there's no judgment here on our parts, because we all have our own evolutions of sorts. But to the political aspect of this, Steve Bannon, who's another one who's completely silent on the matter. In fact, his entire interview with Epstein that he conducted in 2019 has been released. I don't know if you've seen elements of it.
I've seen bits and pieces. Yeah.
Yes, it's a puff piece. He's not mentioning anything of the sorts at the moment. What he is talking about, though, is the midterm elections, and the Democrats are going to exacerbate this the file release and this issue on Trump to their benefit, in addition to the ICE capades happening around the country, which that's a whole nother topic. But they're going to milk it for what it's worth. But what Bannon said in his speech just the other day is that they have to strike now. We can't let the left back in. And I'm thinking to myself, Neil, it's not about necessarily beating the left in the political game. It's about winning the people and teaching the people. And I think Thomas Massey was a great example of that, who co-authored the bill with another Democrat. We're trying to buddy up to the power structure system of the old guard, when the new guard, the people around the country right now, they're tired of the false left right paradigm. They want to get rid of these evil people that are mentioned in these files, and that's it. I mean, I've seen people come together, and just as this is happening, boom, the files get released, boom, ICE happens. Do you see where I'm getting at? I mean,
I do.
The political game is one thing, but if we can unite the people, teach the people, then it's game over for the power structure.
Yeah, and I've said this before. What you're saying, what you're alluding to, is like is like my 2% hope that I'm hanging on to, that maybe Trump, whatever he is or whatever role he's playing right now, that there's a small chance that he's still playing this role in order to wake the American people up. And he's downplayed Epstein in order to basically force the other side to upplay it. And that he's downplayed it in order to force it to be released. And I'm not saying that's the case. Maybe there's a small chance that's happening. But what really has to happen is, because I think this year we're probably going to see a massive lower turnout in voting and a massive amount of people not paying their federal taxes. People are walking away from it going, I don't care. We're at the point where it's like, come arrest me. I'm not going to feed into your system anymore. I'm not funding this crap. It started with Ukraine. It's gone into Israel. I mean, it's been going on with Israel for so long, and now it's with the Epstein, and it's with these constant money laundering, and it's going back in the pockets of the deep state. People know it now. It's what Charlie was catching on to. It's what he started calling out before they took him out. And now it's what Candace is bringing out in huge levels. I don't know if you've seen her recently in what she's talking about, but she's talking about bloodlines, who's ruling the world. I mean, it's getting really crazy. Today she took, she looked the camera right in the eye for 20 minutes and took on Erica Kirk and said, I'm coming at you. This is an open letter to you. And she's calling out, she's gone to this place where it's like, there's no doubt anymore. The French and Israel and down to Erica and others at TPUSA were involved in the Charlie killing. The only reason I bring that up is because I'm saying this has to happen. We have to lose faith in an iconic figure like Trump. Stop thinking, oh, next election, oh, JD Vance is going to save us. It's got to stop. It's got to crumble down. We have to stop feeding the system. And if we stop participating at a mass level, then we can fix this problem on a mass level. But it's going to take the individual saying, I'm not participating anymore. And then collectively going back to that 1776 mindset, saying we are independent, local. We are people that can take care of ourselves. We don't need this big government filled with billionaire pedophiles, and all that kind of stuff. And I hope there's this plan, and maybe Trump is unknowingly or ignorantly involved in it, but it's kind of working in a way. You know what I mean?
Well, I think you're onto something too. I want to keep you because this now gets into Dershowitz and the people surrounding Trump. And then I want to ask you about the cringe and the dark files real quick. I know before you adios out of here, but in regards to the people that are surrounding Trump, they're making his decisions. Well, this just came out, and I covered this last night on the last night update. And I'll tell you what, I had a hell of a time reading this. It is so tiny, but look at this right here. I'll paraphrase it from my recollection. And this goes into Jared Kushner. Jared Kushner, from the confidential informant, it was said to that Jared Kushner is the brains behind the presidency. And Jared Kushner is the person I suspected about 5 years ago, who I believed infiltrated the QAnon team and took it over. This is a classical case of infiltration. We saw it happen with Ron Paul when Jesse Benton married his granddaughter to become the campaign manager to slow walk him against Mittens Romney. Same thing with Jared Kushner. Him and his father, Charles, are Mossad and have ties to Israel that are very deep, and ties to other mafia families and intel agencies around the world. I mean, Neil, their business and building plaza in New York is 666 Fifth Avenue. I mean, they're not even hiding it.
Right.
They're not hiding it. I mean, they might even have the Lucifer telescope at this point.
Yeah.
They're not making any bones about it. But that's what it says. And Dershowitz, who's surrounding Trump, in and out of the administration, along with another group called Chabad, who now we're finding out is nothing but a religious front of the Mossad that even Putin uses to get information about other oligarchs of the Jewish realm. And they're doing the money laundering charities. So it's all in plain sight. And because I'm thinking Trump doesn't know anything about Gaza or the Middle East. This is all a Jared Kushner outlet. And Alan Dershowitz, who now we're finding out is also a spy and has always been trying to become one. And he was actually the professor of Charles Kushner and Jared Kushner during their schooling years. But if you were to go on a TV show with Alan and you were to mention anything of the sort, he would sue you in lawfare action. But now, since it's all out, this is what he's saying. He's in denial. And just like Dan Bonbingo, if you mention this, you're an anti-Semite. Just spoiler alert.
Now, the one point I do want to make is that I understand all the feminist groups and the radicals who think this is the worst thing in the world, that anybody ever had any contact with Jeffrey Epstein. Where are all those radical feminists when it comes to the Hamas rapes of young Jewish girls, sexual abuse, beheadings? They are quiet. They are silent. The incredible hypocrisy of the Me Too movement. Me Too, except if you're a Jew. And I want to have a list of all the radical feminists who are pushing hard, and I understand that, to get all these names revealed. And I want to know how many of them have ever actually condemned Hamas for the rapes that we now know occurred and the murders that occurred. How many have been silent, and how many, like the National Lawyers Guild, have actually approved of what Hamas did? So let's put this in context. I'm thrilled that all these papers have come out. I urged them. I went to court. I asked for everything to come out because I knew that I had done nothing wrong and the papers would exculpate me. What I only worry about is that maybe the judges withheld certain documents. I want to make sure every single document comes out, including the documents that cast doubt on the credibility of some of the accusers and some of the accused. The public has the right to see everything and make.
Well, what an honest Abe. He wants it all to come out, but he wants to grill the accusers, some of which are 13 years old, 15. He wants them to sit in the hot seat. Neil, what's your take on that? Because Dershowitz, in the files released, he was the lawyer of Epstein, and he would, after the Epstein meetings, he would give a debriefing to Mossad. But now here he is trying to be honest Abe. What's your take on that, Neil?
Amazing man of high character and integrity.
Integrity. Oh, God.
That's the key word. Could you imagine? Could you imagine what a guy like that has in his closet? Like the things that I mean that could come out about someone like that. And what I noticed too, same thing that you have with guys like Alex Jones or Dan Bong Bong or Alan Dershowitz. It's always this fake rage. I want to know what are these feminists, and they get real mad and angry. It's when you have them. It's when they're cornered, and so they're like they're like a wild kind of rabid dog that's been cornered, and he doesn't have a way out, and he just starts like showing his teeth and growling and all this stuff because they don't know what to do. And I think that's what we're seeing in a lot of these people now. Is like it's this. We're going to see a lot of fake rage, and basically coming out and saying, well, it has to be something worse that somebody else is doing because it certainly isn't me. And so I mean, we could talk a lot about Dershowitz, but that's kind of my take on that. And
he's out there too. It's same with Noam Chomsky, who's kind of in that same caliber as Dershowitz.
Yeah.
Very close to Epstein. Was going to the island and said, I have in fantasy. And he's like this old guy, but no, finish your thought, please. You were on a roll there.
Well, the other thing that probably, there's a couple things that I need to mention before, because I'm not going to have too much longer here. But as we're talking about the Epstein files, one of them is something that you and I have talked about a couple of times on here, and that has been confirmed. Remember when Trump said that Joe Biden isn't actually Joe Biden? Trump came out and tweeted that, or he didn't tweet, he truthed it. And then everybody just kind of like, oh, Trump doesn't think that Biden was actually the president for 4 years. He was executed in 2019. Well, sure enough, there's a Epstein document that has been released where they're talking about Biden not being Biden and that he was executed in 2019. I find that fascinating. And as I've said before, I'm not like a Q guy where I'm like following Q and trust the plan.
Right.
But there are some things like that that come out where you go, okay, now that's been confirmed. What are we going to do with that? We just had a 4-year presidency, 2020, 2024, where the guy wasn't even real. And it's just been confirmed in these documents. They were talking about it. There's an email conversation about it. And there's some documentation about it. I find that really fascinating. I just kind of throw that out there to go, you guys, we're living in a fake system. And we got to, and also speaking of that, go ahead.
That's a good point. No, I had never understood how come no world leader ever once brought up the fact that, not only was Biden, shitting his pants constantly, getting lost, but the guy was wearing, it was an obvious prosthetic mask, played by the CIA. I mean, how could we, all these people that went on Fox News and all these stupid cable shows, well, Biden's plan is not going to work and we need to get conservative. Everyone is like, everyone is disregarding the Bernie's weekend dead guy in the corner.
Yeah.
How could they just not acknowledge that? And same with Trump. How can you not acknowledge the different looking Trumps? One with brown eyes, one with blue, one who's old, one who's young, one who's tall. You know what I'm saying, Neil? It's mind boggling. But I know you have to go real quick. But I have to. We're about to go into the dark files here, and so much has come out just in the past 24 hours. I can share with you, like, this happened just in the past 24 hours. The Dalai Lama, once again, was mentioned all up and down the files. Yep. Newly released emails reveal the Dalai Lama was there. The spiritual leader met repeatedly with Jeffrey Epstein, and his name is mentioned at least 169 times in the Epstein files. Yeah, that's a shocker. Today, the CEO of Chuck E. Cheese just stepped down. People are kind of like baffled because, there was nothing shocking about him yet. But, we have to remind people there's 3 million more files that have yet to be released. And we've just only touched the surface of the ones that have. And Neil, I get your take on that because we have now the Bushes. In fact, I want to tell you about the Bushes here, but look what's now come out about Emmanuel Macron. This is a report by one of our new reporters. Check this out.
The U.S. Department of Justice has now released millions of new documents in the Jeffrey Epstein case, who was convicted of crimes against minors. This is the largest number of documents ever made public since the adoption of the Epstein Files Transparency Act. Hundreds of famous names are mentioned in the declassified files. The name of French President Emmanuel Macron, being one of them, is mentioned in the files more than 200 times. However, the most shocking of the mention of the president, the correspondence between Epstein and the French accomplice Jean-Luc Brunel. In the message sent to Epstein in 2017, Brunel writes a quote, "The new president of France will have a party at Avant-Franche. I'll bring some boys. He likes them young." Epstein replies, "Too young? I would say that's good. We know what he likes." Macron's inauguration as president of France took place on May 14, 2017, 4 days before the expected date of the correspondence. Jean-Luc Brunel, Epstein's famous accomplice, committed suicide in a Paris prison 2 years after Epstein's suicide took place. It is known that Epstein owned an apartment complex in Paris at 22 Avant-Franche. To this date, it's not known how the people of France will take this news, but maybe just as good as they took the news that Emmanuel Macron is married to a man. For Late Night Update, this is Dean Ryan.
Oh, that was
Thank
good.
you, Dean Ryan. Neil, nice before you, well, yeah, he's a heavy smoker. But Neil, before you head out, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about the darkness of it all. We just had Kim Iverson, one of the debutantes in the independent media, really say on air just earlier today that she thought Pizzagate was a hoax before. Now she's understanding how real it was, and she's having a hard time, like a lot of people are. I know we're immune to it, but Bushes, the cannibalism that's now coming out. Dare I say, we may find out that a lot of these people are really not human after all. Let me get your take on all the darkness of it all before you head on out.
Yeah, it's funny because I mean, actually, nothing's funny about it. But the interesting thing is that I forget how long I've been down this road and how much that I have known inwardly about what's going on. And so I'm like, man, I'm so callous to this stuff because none of it's surprising me. But what I have to do is slow down and try to walk people through it. For example, where some people are just now learning that not only is people like Emmanuel Macron homosexual and have all kinds of other fetishes and at the Epstein Island hundreds of times, but people like George Bush Sr., who was a homosexual, who had a fetish for little boys, who had little boys brought to the White House, that kind of thing. That kind of thing's been going on. That's Bush Sr., not W. W has his own set of issues, but Sr., that's going back a long ways. And so they're going to have to either confront reality and go, I've been living under a lie, under a very dark satanic lie, and I've fallen for it, or they're going to have to continue with the cognitive dissonance and push away from it and go, no, I'm not going to hear it. It's all conspiracy and all that. But the encouraging thing to me is I feel like people are coming around. Another example is when I think of Bill Gates, when you think of Bill Gates, or should we call it Bale Gates is what I call him. When I think of Bale Gates, I know I know what he is. I know what that entity is, and I know what he's doing. I'm thinking depopulation and evil and what he's done in Africa, what he did in India, disgusting. Most people don't think that. But now we have this little thing being released about Bill Gates getting STDs from Russian hookers and then wanting to drug his wife, Melinda, who I think Melinda was, just between you and I think Melinda was taken out some time ago and replaced with a man that's now acting as Melinda. But yeah, so
Kevin Klein.
Bill Gates gets the STDs from Russian hookers, and he's like, how do I still be with my wife and not, she probably has some diseases too. How can I sneak some drugs into her? And that's just like, that's the tip of the iceberg, man. I mean, and this stuff, and then also we have coming out the pandemic plans going back. At least right now we have documentation from this current Epstein dump of plans going back to 2015-ish, where they're talking about the pandemic and how it's going to roll out and things like that. So the people that are pedophiles sacrificing and eating babies and Satanists and all that, they're the reasons why all you out there, maybe not your listeners, but people were wearing masks and social distancing and not allowed to go to grandma's funeral because they're playing a game with you. And I think the important thing to me is this is really dark. The human mind is not supposed to take all this stuff in. We're not made for it. However, it's almost like we're at a point in history where you have to, and we have to be sharing it. We have to be talking about it, because until collective humanity wakes up, we're going to remain in this stupid little matrix that's run by Satanists, and I'm getting sick of it. I don't know about you. I don't think it's a very good governmental model, and I think it's time for a change. How about that?
I don't know. I kind of like it. I don't like change. But yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
You're a
Neil Bishop,
dark man.
Everybody. I'm a dark-hearted artist who, always in pain. Neil Bishop, everybody. You can catch him with me constantly. He's always has projects and behind the scenes, and maybe an upcoming workshop. And we got some big shows lined up for you. But all right, Neil, thank you for being here. I'll talk to you soon. Stay clean. Okay, there you have it right there. He just mentioned something, and it just dawned on me. The pandemic was spoken about with Bill Gates and Jeffrey Epstein. Why is that? And what is the connection between that and a certain Project Pogo? I want to say Project Zephyr. Let me think about that one. We're going to take a quick break. I'm going to refresh myself. Yes, I am. I'm going to put some new batteries in my throat. I tell you, as sick as I maybe appear, I am all in the effort here with all of you to get to the bottom of this. This is one of the biggest weeks in quite some time. So stay tuned right there. We're going to take this quick break here on Late Night Update. We got a lot more to go in an upcoming report with Mike Adams on the other side here. Stand by.
Remember, like, going into the 90s? Like, there's some movies that I would recommend you leave in the past. The movies with cops. So you had one cop who was playing by the rules, ready for retirement. The other one who was rogue. Took the badge. Maverick. He's a maverick. He don't play by the rules. He's dangerous. You know? He hangs on to 18-wheelers going, 90 miles per hour by the side and takes a fleet of army down, the whole fleet. Just talking about it, I get blurry. That's how bad it gets. No, there's no rules. Once you take the badge off, anything goes. It's full on, too, when the good cop, who played by the rules his whole career, goes,
all right, I'm taking my badge off, too, for this one time.
And, you think about those films we grew up on, is the cop movies, lawyer TV shows, the hospital shows. You would think that the only jobs in America are cops, lawyers, and some gig at the hospital.
Okay. All right. Late Night Update is back. Okay. We're returning. Okay, here we are. Welcome back, everybody, to Late Night Update. I am a replenished version of Dean Ryan. I'm his body double. Good to see you here tonight. And yes, I'm powering through it all this entire week. Thank you for all your patience, for putting up with me and my primitive ways, how I got in this mess to begin with. Next week should be at some point, hopefully, I want to say the return of World at War. Don't hold me to it, but we're going to make a big attempt at that because I certainly need the system back. Tonight, yes, is brought to you by the Real Deal Media Night Owls, the members who make this possible. And a lot of just an incredible people, that incredible community. I would say in general, even if you're not a night owl, you're still an owl of sorts. But what an incredible community of like-minded people, different shades of ideologies, but incredible spirits out there, and that's something to be acknowledged. And it's very unique. You don't really see that, in my view, in many other places. And God, I'm getting blurry again, foggy. So I just wanted to share that with you. And I think that's why people like Neil and some other people that do the show with me, they love to be here and do it with all of us and discover all these things. But you can become a night owl. I have to do these things here and pat ourselves on the back by going to realdealmedia.tv, realdealmedia.tv, and become a visionary, debonair, a player from the Himalayas. and become iconic, not ironic, and join us. And I think we're going to do something this weekend, but I really need to heal myself after tonight. I've been going, double barrels, I tell you. So go to RealDeanRyan.tv. Yes. You know what really sucks too is I had two incredible songs for commercials for our Valentine's Day collection, which I wasn't able to get to this year. One of the roughest starts in quite some time. I wanted to share this other thing with you before we get to Mike Adams' report. We were talking about the pandemic and Bill Gates speaking about it with Jeff Epstein, and something clicked after I heard that Jeffrey Epstein was literally at some of the most precipice of times of capitalistic money transfers, and also in the blueprinting of the most deadliest of pandemics. Well, you're going to find Jeffrey Epstein there. It was just found out in this week alone that we found out that he was there in a money transfer, a wealth transfer, $22 trillion. And who was he giving that to when he had access to the Pentagon and some of our players at the higher echelons? It was going to Israel. Israel has been living not only with subsidized fortunes from American taxpayers, but they've been stealing just an entire wealth to create that country. And the word on the street is they have an entire underground, universe of sorts under there. And, Israel is where the pedos go to escape any kind of criminal justice or exoneration or, extradition. I don't know why Roman Polanski, where did he go to France? There's another one. There's that connection as well. But you may recall 2020, early 2020, there was a gentleman named David Goldberg who put out a video, which I certainly don't have now, but I've showcased this for the audience before, maybe 3 years ago. And in the video, it was talking about how the entire pandemic was set forward and ignited by the Israelis. And he claims the reason why, and I could totally see this, the reason why is they knew that people were waking up in the West to the realities of Zionism. And what YouTube has been, and a lot of these platforms have been the honeypots to, as they are, to find out where, when, and who are going to be starting these organic revolutions, not the Arab Spring or the American Spring they try to get going. The one we see in Iran now with, Mossad with Gatling machine guns everywhere saying they're peaceful protesters. And that's what it's all about. And you think about it, you go on YouTube, you got to sign in your name. They have your coordinates. In some cases, they have your address, your phone number. I get locked out routinely on my accounts. And that's what it's all about, is so they can figure out who's watching what. Oh, they're watching the cookie cutter conservative people. Okay, that's okay. We can leave them there. We know who they are. But when they can't pigeonhole people like us, all of us, this show, then they shadow ban you. But I'll tell you this, not to grandstand, the volume of a show, the brassness, I would say how big a show isn't necessarily defined by viewership at this point, because we know of the miscalculations, the shadow banning, and the fraudulence that is done at behest of the power structure towards the content creators. But it's defined in the effectiveness of what people take from what they're viewing, whether it's what we're talking about or whether it's some kind of uplifting cheer, and they spread it throughout their communities, their households. And that's the true effectiveness, and that's the true pure originality of shows, and just how big a show really is just by that very factor right there. And that's how you have to measure these things now, because the people really speaking the truth out there. Some of them you'll never hear, you may not hear, but once you do, you know how to articulate it and go viral in your own right. So it made me think of that. Although they're honeypots, we definitely know how to leapfrog over that. Okay, moving on now. There is something that we learned just the other day regarding cryptocurrency. And I know this audience maybe isn't necessarily a Bitcoin crypto kind of crowd, but a lot of people are, and a lot of people have tiptoed into it. I certainly am one of those people. I never really invested too much into it. Mike Adams got me into it a little bit, and I just want to learn a thing or two. But this happened just earlier this week, before all the commotion came out. I must share this with you before I black out. I'm known for that. Well, look at this. Well, BlackRock, look at that, has sold, that's $373,800,000 in Bitcoin. They sold it off. Bitcoin, everybody's involved in Bitcoin. You could use some of these money apps, Cash App, PayPal. They're all kind of linked to Bitcoin. Well, in the past couple of days, maybe past 48 hours, we discovered the following. Look at this here. Now we know who the originator, the godfather, the creator of Bitcoin is, who went by Satoshi. That's right. It was Jeffrey Epstein. How disturbing is that? Furthermore, I've also been hearing this, traces of it, that in each and every little Bitcoin, there's a Epstein file, and he was spreading this all around. And it's in the ether out there, and it's hard to explain. But nonetheless, this is taking a big toll on the markets right now. A lot of companies and so forth have been invested in the Bitcoin cryptocurrency. The mark of the beast, some have called it. Well, Mike Adams has really kept his eye on this factor for a long time. He's invested in such projects. But listen to what Mike has to say, and I think we're going to understand and have a better perspective of what's to come to the financials here in the United States and really throughout the world. Here's Mike Adams reporting.
Mike Adams here with a special note for Real Deal Media. So if you're looking at what's happening with Bitcoin and why it's plunging so much, there are a couple of clues as to what's happening. So number one, the major Bitcoin exchanges are also unloading a massive amount. Trump is unloading a massive amount, millions of dollars from his companies of selling Bitcoin. There are a couple of theories, really three theories. So one is that Netanyahu is controlling this and trying to strong-arm Trump into attacking Iran. And that if Trump doesn't attack Iran, Netanyahu is going to crash everything. He's going to crash silver, he's going to crash stocks, he's going to crash tech, and he's going to crash Bitcoin. So that's one theory. Second theory is that some of the revelations in the Epstein files are linking or naming certain people in various contexts that are tied to organizations like Tether. And Tether slid off of the 1-to-1 stablecoin ratio yesterday, which concerns some people. Also, Howard Lutnick is named in the files, and he's tied to Tether. And then also, remember, Tether is buying up billions of dollars of gold. So even Tether sees that the dollar is not going to be the long-term play here. It's going to be a gold-backed stablecoin, which they've already launched, which is or Tether Gold. And the third theory is that the DoD needs the data center power on the eastern grid, and they're locked out right now because there's too much Bitcoin mining using all the electricity. And they need to clobber Bitcoin mining. They need to clobber the hash rate in order to free up those gigawatt hours for the AI data centers so that the DoD can build super intelligence Skynet super weapons and try to compete with China. And the fastest way to reduce the power consumption of the Bitcoin hash rate is to clobber the price down to something below like $30,000, and then half the miners go out of business and they stop mining. Suddenly you're freeing up, many gigawatt hours or tens of gigawatt hours of power on the eastern grid, and you didn't have to build a nuclear power plant. So those are the three theories that I'm aware of right now. You can decide which ones, excuse me, you can decide which ones that you think are true or not true, or, keep watching, see what's happening. I don't think this is just normal market fluctuation. I think clearly there's an invisible hand behind this, and I think that hand leads back to either the deep state or Netanyahu. That's my best guess.
Well, that's a great guess there, Mike. Thank you, Mike Adams, for that wonderful report. Yeah. Well, you look who heads a lot of these, financial firms, companies around the world, and you're going to find your answer right there in the connection. We're dealing with we're dealing with almost a generational kind of adversary too, because a lot of the American Jewish youth want nothing to do with this, and these old guards are putting them at risk, aren't they? Okay, so I want to head back here to this here. Excuse me. Now in the UK, I made the announcement yesterday that it appeared to be that Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister of England, was just moments, hours away from stepping down, and certainly that's still in it's still in the making. But a lot of people are stepping down. A lot of you even have the heads of the Olympic Committee who's now stepping down or getting told to. You have Prince Andrew, who's even being defanged and declothed even more. But actually, here's what I found out about Prince Andrew. Prince Andrew. Why was he targeted the most? Why was his photos preemptively before all this? Why were they put out into the mainstream right off the bat initially? Now it's coming out why that is. And it goes to Queen Elizabeth, his mother. Not Queen Mummy, but Queen Mum. I think that's what they call her. Well, it goes back to the fact that she was not a fan of Zionists, believe it or not. And I did not know this, that not one Israeli prime minister, especially Netanyahu, ever stepped foot, nor was he allowed to step foot into Buckingham Palace. Did you know this? And she had a very unruly, just contemption for them. And I did not know that. So maybe this is a collective punishment of that, of the betrayal of the parents. So there's always that, and these people don't forget, do they? But let me tell you about this one here. Now it's coming out that back to Starmer, who is kind of a drag queen in his own right, who is married to a Zionist, the beard. Well, now UK's Prime Minister Starmer didn't know Jeffrey Epstein, but the Prime Minister's job is still under threat. Oh, I would say it's still under threat regardless of Epstein files or who. It's definitely under threat. Well, he's now preemptively going out there making a big stench that he never met Jeffrey Epstein, but the British crime minister is still under threat. His job, that is, on the fallout from the late sex offender's global web of relationships, and what a web that is. Well, his friendship with Epstein has already brought down British royal Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, formerly known as Prince Andrew. And that's right, the royal family are Germans. That's why they're getting the way they're getting punished too. I totally forgot about that. They're German tourists who occupy England. Isn't that funny? Well, and UK ambassador to Washington, Peter Mandelson. And I would also add there's a Lord, something, his name escapes me. They were both fired in this case, fired by Starmer over the links to the financier. Now, the new revelations have plunged Starmer's center-left government into extreme amounts of turmoil, which we didn't know was even possible. Now, the Prime Minister is now facing the mounting pressure within his own party, the Labour Party, that is, over his decision in 2024 to appoint Mandelson, a veteran Labour politician, to Washington's role, despite his ties to Epstein. So he knew he had ties to the Mossad agent Epstein. and it didn't seem to bother him until everyone saw. You see, that shows not only a lack of character, it shows how much disdain he has for all of you, especially his own people. Well, just how close were the ties? Many people have asked. Well, in the newly released documents that have truly dominated the U.S. headlines, but certainly, and this is a great thing to hear, they're dominating the UK press headlines as well. Starmer apologized just this recent today, or I should say earlier today, about the victims of Epstein, saying Mandelson had reportedly and repeatedly lied to him and portrayed Epstein as someone he barely knew. Like that song, just someone that I used to know. I can hear that playing in the background. And you hear the sob stories. Now, Elon Musk, on the other hand, he tried to pull a Bobby Kennedy and try to get in front of a story. You may recall he was the first to say that the reason that Doge got canceled and we're going into Iran is because Trump is in the files. Now, it was recently found out that, well, so is he. And I kind of knew he was. And I was under the understanding it was more in the financials department that he was. But we're finding a different story out now, aren't we? Let me tell you a bit more about it. Is now Elon redacted from Epstein file emails in organizing lunch between billionaires. Yes, Elon Musk has said people are using the Epstein files to smear, quote, smear my name. Yes. Well, the word on the street is Elon appears in half redacted in the latest Epstein file release, as his name is being mentioned multiple times in the documents and certainly by the victims, the alleged victims of Donald Trump. You may have heard that earlier in the week. Well, for instance, on one email exchange dated as far back as February 20th, 2013. What a time that was. Well, it shows the correspondence between Mary Beth Brown, Elon's assistant at that time, and Leslie Groff, Epstein's assistant. And, well, in this case, Miss Brown, the assistant, said, quote, shall we organize a lunch for Elon, which is redacted, and Jeffrey together at SpaceX in the coming weeks? Which, by the way, if you're redacting a name and then it's shortly thereafter followed by SpaceX, you have to then ask yourself, what's the whole point of redacting the damn name? We know who it is, you know? It's like if they redacted my name and it said, founder of Real Deal Media, I mean, what's the point of wasting? Anyways, Elon is generally available at SpaceX. So just to give you some of the details on that. Now, the gist is what Elon's touting is that he never went to the island. Therefore, he's exonerated. Look at me. I'm squeaky clean. What he doesn't share is that he was trying to get there. And he was asking, you know, are there going to be more, you know, X amount of this there versus that? And at one point, it appears that he did meet up with Epstein at some kind of party that may not have been on the Epstein Island, but nonetheless, his heart was really set forth to be on that island. That's the hard monkey wrench to get passed by. And I think he's going to take a hit. And it's making me think twice now about Starlink. And it's also making me think twice why Elon was missing the wall with, you know, Ben Shapiro, Shades of Shapiro. Yeah. Remember that from, what was that, a year and a half ago? I think we know why, because he's being blackmailed too, like Peter Thiel is, you see. Okay, so there you have it right there. And, excuse me, so, you know, we put it all together, and I think we're going to find out more dark files. We know the Macron files, shared the Bush darkness, which is, you know, cannibalism. The Clintons, I think we're going to be entering that another level of darkness starting next week when they start testifying. If they start testifying, and God only knows if it's even them after all. But yeah, we're going to be seeing what Bill Clinton was doing. I mean, Bill Clinton is almost the poster child of the Epstein files. I mean, he should be on the art cover. He's all over the place. Nobody was shocked to even know that. They just kind of assumed, yeah, that's something. That's a place where Bill would be. But but when you know the truth about it all, you know about Hillary Clinton and Uma Aberdeen, and when you go further into that relationship, then that brings you to, and a lot of this is all recycled. It's coming back to me now. That brings you to Frazzle Trip. If you don't know what that is, I don't recommend you watch it if you can't stomach it. But that should tell you that it's called Frazzle Trip. That right there alone should tell you the caliber of people we're dealing with, and should kind of give you an inkling that we may not even be dealing with full humans at this point. When you learn in the manner that they view just normal Americans, let alone human beings at this point, because these people are the cannibalists. Hillary Clinton is the epitome of Pizzagate and all of this just nefarious darkness we're talking about. And Bill Clinton too, for that fact. And Bill Clinton was being blackmailed, as I shared with you for many, many times now, by Netanyahu. And as I wrote in an article back in 2015, Bill Clinton was being blackmailed by Netanyahu, who many have said, and I believe they sent Monica Lewinsky to the scene to blackmail him. They secretly, illegally, I would say, recorded his phone calls, which many consisted of phone sex. I mean, you can't get any more 90s than that. Remember phone sex? I mean, God. I had to think about that. Oh, yeah, I remember that. In fact, Netanyahu comes to power in 95. Yasser Arafat of the PLO, if you recall, the man who was always looking like the Iron Sheik, walking around the Palestinian areas, was going to sign a peace treaty, two-state deal with then Prime Minister Iran Barak. I can't even say his name properly. And before that, at Camp David, before they were about to sign that peace treaty, two-state solution into a legislation agreement, Clinton got the call from Netanyahu that look at what we have here. And Bill Clinton is very blackmailable. That's what he's there for. It wasn't hard to do. And shortly thereafter, Yasser Arafat was assassinated by what many have said and claimed to be Benjamin Netanyahu himself. Because at the end of the day, this isn't about doing what's best for the people of Israel. This is about fulfilling this very demonic prophecy that Albert Pike shed light on many, many moons ago, which is a major effort to bring down the world's religions by mutual destruction of Iran, Israel, which brings down Islam, Judaism, and ultimately Christianity, and then gives the new option of a deity to whoever's in power, the superpower of the world at that time. This time, actually, and that's going to be China, as they hold the mantle of power to the AI, which is the new deity. And you think about these things. So that's why Israel's on the offense. That's why this is the most dangerous time that we've been in quite a while. And to understand the psyops, you have to really have a strong immune system to it. And just like what we saw on ICE, I mean, who remembers the guy that got shot by the ICE? Now look at this coming out right now. This is the same man, they're saying, who died in another event, yes, as an IDF soldier. Now he's dead over there in Minneapolis. See, the level of Kabuki theater is next level. Anyways, I'm going to end it there. Before I end myself here, I just I had to work overtime here this week to bring this to all of you. I'm going to take a little break here, but next week is big. It's big. We have the Clintons coming to the witness stand, and a lot more files people are going to be rummaging through. And you definitely want to hear what you find out there. Feel free to email us before we fly away into the darkness. see this, it's going on. Feel free to email us at info@realdealmedia.tv. Info@realdealmedia.tv. You see that? It's very simple. Okay, I'm gonna leave it there. In the meanwhile, before I fall apart, thank you all for sharing this week with me and helping me pull through this, because I couldn't miss this. This is history. You're a part of it. Thank you very much. And so for Neil Bishop, it was amazing, awesome. And the rest of us here at Real Deal Media's Late Night Update, I'm Dean Ryan saying thank you for sharing a bit of your night. Until next time, always remember, stay tuned and stay awake. Good night, everybody. Well, one of these days.